The most powerful ideas are hidden in allegory. Allegory is not something you can just figure out. It is not a metaphor or a simile. Allegory is essentially a truth concealed within a lie that effectively misdirects anyone without proper initiation into the meaning being concealed. You must be taught what an allegory means. If you can just figure it out without divine inspiration or direct instruction, then it isn't an allegory. Sometimes the literal meaning is even expressly stated, but how that meaning is to be properly understood is concealed. Either way, allegory has served the purpose for which the adepts employed it. The most powerful allegory in the mysteries is the one that conceals the mechanical understanding of how one enters the practical work. The main underlying mechanism that is always mentioned yet never explained, rather like the prima materia in alchemy. The main allegory we are discussing here is equally present in many forms of perennial wisdom tradition, simply stated in very different ways to obscure the fact that they are saying the same thing. Hermetic instructions call for reversing the mind. The Taoist text, The Secret of the Golden Flower, refers to it as turning the light. The New Testament calls it repenting. Some adept alchemists referred to it as drowning the flyer in the sea, which applies here, but also applies to practical laboratory alchemy. Sadashiva referred to it as folding the ascendant when using the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali for instruction. And in purely non-verbal encoding, Celtic totem symbology uses the salmon to convey the same meaning, for its ability to swim upstream to spawn, to go against the direction of the river current. These functions are dependent upon knowing about states of consciousness and how to effect changes in the individual psyche. They are alchemical functions that exist within the psychospiritual framework, placed there to enable this precise functionality whenever someone reaches the point where understanding it becomes possible. Part of understanding it is to know what happens when you consciously use one state of consciousness to interact with another state of consciousness. Before I just lay this out, I need to preface that just knowing this one key, while never really elaborated even in itself, is most important, but not in itself sufficient. Knowing the mechanism is one thing, akin to knowing the alchemical prima materia itself. Knowing what to do with it, to make productive use of it, is entirely another. The mechanism is this. Taking your conscious mind into the unconscious mind expands the subconscious mind from a contracted embryonic level to a gradually expanded state, which concurrently allows some access to the level of superconscious mind. This is reversing the mind, turning the light, repenting, folding the ascendant, swimming against the current. It is how you enter the mesocosm, the liminal between yourself as a microcosm and the universe as a macrocosm. Doing it repeatedly is drowning the flyer in the sea, which points to the fact that this kind of circulatory work must be done in many cycles. The Secret of the Golden Flower states that if you turn the light for 100 days, it will crystallize. This is the same kind of crystallization we experience from illuminatory seership practice, though it can happen in deep ascension practice and other ways. Reversing the mind and drowning the flyer in the sea are more hermetically familiar terms, the latter mainly with certain alchemical texts from the same general Hermetic period. They both mean the same thing, except the drowning directive alludes to something a bit more intense than just reversal. And of course, the most famous directive hidden in plain sight has been to repent, and has been the single most misunderstood directive probably ever. The New Testament uses adept encoding in Greek to conceal the allegory through the word metanoia, which means to change the mind. and is translated as repent, to rethink, to change the direction of your thinking. Change the mind, reverse the mind, repent, turn the light, fold the ascendant, drown the flyer in the sea, swim against the current. To restate the mechanism again, so we can expound further. Taking your conscious mind into the unconscious mind expands the subconscious mind from a contracted embryonic level to a gradually expanded state, which concurrently allows some access to the level of superconscious mind. The application of this pattern can be understood in many ways in the axioms that will follow. Taking your conscious mind into the unconscious mind expands access to the Divine Mother from a contracted embryonic level to a gradually expanded state, which concurrently allows some access to the level of the Star Father. Taking your sun, fire element, into the moon, water element, expands Saturn, earth element, from a contracted embryonic level to a gradually expanded state, which concurrently allows some access to the level of heaven, air element. Interaction between Sol and Luna begins to generate access to Saturn and heaven. Conjunction of the sun and moon generates access to the underworld and the overworld. Taking fire into water allows access to earth and air. From these four elements, separated from their chaos, a quintessence is made. The lesser conjunction configures alignment for the work of the greater conjunction. Without the lesser conjunction, the way cannot open for the greater conjunction. This is as true on a psychospiritual level for effective theurgy as it is in genuine laboratory alchemy. While it is true that, for the greater part, entrance to the mysteries has always been concealed and guarded from the profane, the keys to understanding them have been hidden in plain sight for millennia, one of the favorite tricks of adepts. They have been encoded in allegories, embedded in ancient religious texts, stone monuments, and symbol systems that speak plainly to an initiate given proper instruction, and yet remain impenetrable to those who have not. The allegories were hidden in religious texts because religious texts are generally the most well-protected documents, and therefore allow the stored allegories to endure for long periods of time. In the beginning, these allegories were understood by the highest guardians of the religions, and their understanding was passed orally to those considered worthy. Over time, the number of persons privy to the deeper hidden meanings eroded, and religions were left with stewards who are incapable of transmitting the knowledge. They have dumbed it down to the point where there is no real depth of substance to it anymore, and most people have disconnected from the idea of religion because they see no point to it. They feel failed by their religions, and to a point they're right. More precisely, though, they have been failed by the stewards of their religions. Regardless of what substance there may have been at one time, no one left in charge has an illuminated consciousness. It has indeed become the blind, leading the blind. The only thing that has become plainly visible to everyone is the enormous hole left in place of what they have lost, an emptiness that cannot possibly quench deep spiritual thirst, because the amazing things that real religions are built upon are the very things none of their leaders understand. The true depth is lost and has been replaced with ridiculous ideologies and subjective moralism. Though for someone with the keys to the allegories, the depth of understanding can still be recognized and reclaimed.